Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vajajana Randana Yashodanandana Vajajana Yashodanandana Vajajana Randana Nandana Vajajana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vajajana Randana Yashodanandana Vajajana Yashodanandana Vajajana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivadikacharya Ashtotar Dadashi Srimad Divine Grace Sri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BPT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivadikacharya Ashtotar Dadashi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriye. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So, on this 4th day of January, 2019 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in the 4th canto, the creation of the 4th order. Chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Text number 72. Triratrante kapita badarashanaha atmavritjanusarena Masam ninyer chayan harim. Triratrante kapitta badarashanaha Atma vrityanusarena Masam ninyer chayan harim. Triratrante kapitta badarashanaha Atma vrityanusarena Masam ninyer chayan harim. Word for words. Tree 3, Ratra Ante, at the end of night. Tree 3, Ratra Ante, at the end of night. Kapitta Bodara, fruits and berries. Ashanaha, eating. Atmavritti, just to preserve the body. Anusarena, as it was necessary, minimum. Masam, 1 month. Ninye, passed away. Archayan, worshipping. Hadim, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. For the first month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only fruits and berries on every 3rd day, only to keep his body and soul together. And in this way he progressed in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The kapita is a flower which is known in Indian vernacular as kayeta. We do not find an English equivalent for the name of this flower, but its fruit is generally not accepted by human beings. It is eaten by monkeys in the forest. Dhruva Maharaj, however, accepted such fruits not for luxurious feasting, but just to keep his body and soul together. The body needs food, but a devotee should not accept foodstuff to satisfy the tongue in sense gratification. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that one should accept as much food as necessary to keep the body fit, but one should not eat for luxury. Dhruva Maharaj is an acharya, and by undergoing severe austerities and penances, he teaches us how one should execute devotional service. We must carefully know the process of Dhruva Maharaj's service. How severely he passed his days will be shown in later verses. We should always remember that to become a bona fide devotee of the Lord is not an easy task. But in this age, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it has been made very easy. But if we do not follow even the liberal instructions of Lord Chaitanya, how can we expect to discharge our regular duties in devotional service? It is not possible in this age to follow Dhruva Maharaj in his austerity, but the principles must be followed. We should not disregard the regulative principles given by our spiritual master, for they make it easier for the conditioned soul. As far as our ISKCON movement is concerned, we simply ask that one observe the 4 prohibitive rules, chant 16 rounds, and instead of indulging in a luxurious eating for the tongue, simply accept prasadam offered to the Lord. This does not mean that with our fasting the Lord should also fast. The Lord should be given foodstuff which is as nice as possible. But we should not make it a point to satisfy our tongues. As far as possible, we should accept simple foodstuff just to keep the body and soul together to execute devotional service. It is our duty to remember always that in comparison to Dhruva Maharaj, we are insignificant. We cannot do anything like what Dhruva Maharaj did for self-realization because we are absolutely incompetent to execute such service. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we have been given all concessions possible for this age. So at least we should always remember that neglect of our prescribed duties in devotional service will not make us successful in the mission we have undertaken. It is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, for he was very determined. We should also be determined to finish our duties in executing devotional service in this life. We should not wait for another life to finish our job. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Urmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Urmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is now a description of Dhruva Maharaj's incredible process that he underwent under the instruction of Narada Muni in executing devotional service. Now, it being the Satya Yuga, it's basically a meditation process. But the real astounding thing about it is the level of austerities that he accepted from the beginning. He ate only fruits and berries, whatever he could find, and only every third day. So clearly he's simply barely sustaining his life here, only to keep body and soul together. And meanwhile, he's meditating on the Lord within the heart, chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, although it seems like he's chanted that 3 times a day. I think there was a verse like that. But he's absorbing his mind in Krishna as his guru taught him. So Prabhupada in this purport, first of all he reveals that the fruits are basically meant for monkeys, so there's nothing very luxurious about them. And Prabhupada then segues unto us, on how this applies to us. And he references the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Yukta hara viharasya yukta chetasya karmasu. That one should eat as little as possible, sleep as little as possible, and recreation as little as possible for practice of yoga. This is for Ashtanga Yoga. And now Srila Prabhupada, of course, he placed before us the Sunday feast and all kinds of wonderful preparations, knowing full well that we needed that to be encouraged in devotional service. But we should be careful not to indulge too much, because that will impede our devotional service. As it is said in the Upadeshamrita, Atyahara prayasascha padilbo niyamagraha janasangasta lauyanchak shadbir bhaktir panashiti. Completely destroys, these 8 things completely destroy our bhakti. 6 things to expand to 8. Atyahara means not eating too much, or eating too much, or collecting too much. Hard endeavor for material things. Nonsense talk, listening to or speaking. Niyamagraha, failing to follow the regulative principles of devotional service, or following them simply for show, not really with that much heart or attention. Associating with non-devotees, and greed for material things. These 6, which expand to 8, pranashiti, totally destroy your devotional life. On the other hand, we find Dhruva Maharaj described Utsahan nishtayat daryat, the 6 things that do further devotional service, nourish it. One of them is nishtayan, which is determination, which he was the cardinal quality of Dhruva was his determination. That's how we got the, I don't know if I want to say nickname, but that Dhruva means determined. So enthusiasm, determination, and patience in the matter of executing all of the activities of devotional service. Tat tat karma pravartana. And again, he emphasizes by means of the opposite side, giving up the association of materialists, sangha tyagat, and following in the footsteps of great devotees. Those things further our devotional service, nourish it. So those are very important instructions from the Upadeshamrita. So we must carefully know the process. So we should be awestruck by Dhruva's austerities and his quick advancement, a mere 6 months, and he gets darshan of the Lord. But here Prabhupada says, the Lord has made the process much easier for us in this age because of our disqualifications. What are they? Summarized a little bit in the first chapter of the Bhagavatam. Prayenalpayashak sabya kalavasmin yugadana manda samanda matayo manda bhagya yupadrata. We don't live very long, for the most part. That was left out of the first translation, is restored. Yeah.
Prabhupada's made the process easier for us. However, I'm just curious if we endeavor with as much determination as Guru Maharaj did in bhakti, do we not get 6 months darshan? How does this?
Well, how?
Balance out?
Well, there's no hard and fast formula. Krishna is completely independent. I mean, in exceptional cases, we know that devotees come back. It's too loud. Oh, right. Yeah. That life after life, your devotion increases, hopefully. But you get a chance to come back. So who knows, I mean, I've heard of devotees who saw Krishna, even as bhaktas. They got a glimpse of Krishna. Now, maybe that was mixed in with some residual hallucinogenics, I don't know. But we do know that certain bhaktas make extraordinary advancement very quickly. We've seen that. Now, how fast one can come to the end point of actually seeing Krishna and becoming, fully self-realized, there's no formula for it. But certainly, Prabhupada expected us to be determined in proportion to our own situation. I mean, nobody can imitate Dhruva. He says it's impossible. But take the lesson of, as he said in a previous purport, or the previous purport that he read, following the orders of the spiritual master. That was his great success. He followed Narada Muni's instructions to the T. And he did them with full enthusiasm and determination. And so he received the result in the matter of 6 months. So yes, Lord, you said Prabhupada made it easy. It's really Lord Chaitanya made it easy. Prabhupada's giving the same program. But if you study, Lord Chaitanya's teachings and his activities, Prabhupada's even made it more easy for us. I mean, the Hari Bhakti Vilas, if we had to follow, probably couldn't. There's stuff in there about pranayama in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, to quiet the mind and so many things. Just following Kadashi strictly everyone did it in Lord Chaitanya's time, but now it's very difficult. So, if we follow Prabhupada's program as he gave it to us, we can achieve all success, by Prabhupada's mercy, because he gave it to us, and he's such a dear devotee of Lord Chaitanya and Krishna. Then it'll be efficacious. So, it's not possible in this age to follow Dhruva in his austerity, but the principles must be followed. We should not disregard the regulative principles given by our spiritual master, for they make it easier for the conditioned soul. As far as ISKCON is concerned, he mentions the 4 prohibitive rules. He doesn't even mention what they are. This is clearly written for the devotees. Chanting 16 rounds, and not indulging in luxurious eating for the tongue. So this is sometimes difficult at the beginning, and you're surrounded by luxurious foods, but at a certain point you realize, well, okay, this has to be controlled if you want to progress. This does not mean that with our fasting, the Lord should also fast. So, of course, Krishna has always offered the most opulent foodstuffs we can manage. But controlling the tongue, that's another verse from the Upadeshamrita, the very first one. Vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam, jiva vegam, ururopasta vegam, etan vegam, yovashahita dita savam, pimam patavingsa shishat. That you have the 3 gross vegas or pushings and 3 subtle pushings. the pushings of the words to speak, the mind, and anger, the subtle ones, and then the gross ones of the tongue, belly, and genitals. One who can really control those completely is a guru. He can make us disciples everywhere. Let's see. Okay, we can't neglect our prescribed duties. We should follow the program as given by Lord Chaitanya, as given by Prabhupada. It is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj in this way, for he was very determined. That's the characters. We should also be determined. Now this last part is really interesting. We should also be determined to finish our duties in executing devotional service in this life. That's the real import here. We should not wait for another life to finish our job. So Prabhupada wanted us to try as hard as possible to go back to God in this very life. And knowing full well that we'll get another chance, but we don't want to postpone things, because Kali Yuga seems to be increasing in its speed of degradation. I'm going to read the next verse. Dvitiyam chatata masam shashte urbaga. Shashte urbaga bhako dine. Trinaparnadibi shirnai kritano vyarchayan vibhum. In the second month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only every 6 days, so he's eating only 3 days, some berries and stuff, now only 6 days. And for his eatables, instead of the delicious berries that were meant for the monkeys, he's eating the dry grass and leaves. Thus he continued his worship. Next verse. Tritiyam chanayan masam navame hani ab bhaksha uttama shlokam upadhavat samadhina. So by now he's in samadhi. During the third month, he drank water only every 9 days. Thus he remained completely in trance and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was adored by selected verses. So he's not eating anything, he's just drinking, and that only 9 days. Doesn't say how much he drank, but that's limited. No purports here. Chaturtam abhivai masam dvadashe hani vayu bhaksho jitasvaso dhyayan devam adhariyat. So each of these verses has a repeated, it's known as Triratrante. So that means, this idiom means every 12th day. In the fourth month, Dhruva Maharaj became a complete master of the breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled air only every 12th day. In this way, he became completely fixed in his position and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That fixity is the samadhi that was mentioned in the last verse. Text 76. Panchame masyanu prapte jita shvasor bitamajaha dhyayan brahma padaikena tastav stanur ivachavaha. By the fifth month, Maharaj Dhruva, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly that he was able to stand on only one leg, just as a column stands without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Parabrahman. Wow. And he's breathing only every 12th day. Text 77. Sarvato mana akrishya vidibhuten vyashayam dhyayan bhagavato rupam nadrakshit kinchanaparam. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The yogic principles of meditation are clearly explained here. One has to fix one's mind upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without diversion to any other objective. It is not that one can meditate or concentrate on an impersonal objective. To try to do so is simply a waste of time, for it is unnecessarily troublesome, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So, we have our equivalent verse. How's it go? Oh, now it's slipping my mind. Vishnu, all of the regulations are geared toward remembering Vishnu and not forgetting him. Anyone know that verse? God, I can't believe I forgot that verse. Smartavyo satatam Vishnu, vismartavyo najatuchit. Sarva vidi nishedakshur etayodeva kinkara. So that smartavyak satatam Vishnu means always remembering Vishnu and never forgetting him. I like to explain how, well, isn't that the same thing? But it's actually not. Because then in the third line it says, Vidhi Nisheda. All the Vidhis and Nishedas, are eti or avakinkar, are humble servants, menial servants of these two principles. In other words, everything we do, positive and negative, and refrain from doing, is meant to further and deepen our remembrance of Krishna. That's what this means. Smartavyak satatam Vishnu. So that goes back to the idea of anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Surrender is the first thing, is to accept those things that are favorable and reject those things that are unfavorable. Unfavorable for what? For remembering Krishna, for becoming Krishna conscious. That's what remembering Krishna means. So here we see that Dhruva has accepted this program of Narada Muni, and there's so many things he's not doing, but what he is doing is incredibly austere, but it's resulting in his being completely fixed upon the form of the Supreme Personality of God without diversion to anything else. So that's smartavyam sadatam Vishnu vismartavyam janachit. So we have the same principle. I mean, you can't get around it. Yoga means control of the mind and the senses and fixing of the mind on the absolute truth, Brahman. And we know that the Supreme Brahman is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything that we do is geared toward that. Those two things of never forgetting Krishna and always remembering Krishna and teaching others to do the same thing, because we know that that's the only ultimate benefit in this life. That's the whole program. Yeah. So Prabhupada makes the point here that it's just a waste of time to try to fix one's mind on the impersonal. There's so many verses about that. Krishna says, "Klesho adhikadatashtesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakyahi gati dukam deha badbhiravapite." For those who are embodied, that's us, the conditioned souls. There's a lot of pain and suffering and difficulty in trying to fix one's mind on the avyakta, the invisible. Well, what do you think about? As soon as you think about some form, you just deviated from the meditation. So, klesho adhikadatas means a lot. Avyaktasakta chetasam, whose consciousness is attracted, or you're trying to absorb your mind in the avyakta. Avyakta simply means invisible, unmanifest. And even if you do for a while, you can't stay in that position for very long, because it's unnatural. The soul is by nature a person, and we hanker for the perfection of our personality, which is relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and with all the devotees and everything in the spiritual world. So you take away all that because there's no faith or understanding. And what are you left with? Okay, the Brahman. But how long can you stay absorbed in the Brahman? It's a negative motivation. We have various motivations why we do things, roughly within the two categories of increasing our pleasure and decreasing our pain. That's more or less it. You can dance around as much as you want, but that's really why people do things. So the Brahman realization is the ultimate on the side of reducing pain. No body, no senses, no mind to experience some emotional or mental problem. The mind is like transcended and you're just conscious being. So you're no more suffering. That's called Brahmananda. But it's negative. What about the real Ananda that experiences in service to Krishna? That's unknown. That's completely minus. So anyone who does rise up on that basis of impersonal realization falls down again, right in the Bhagavatam. Aruha kuchena parang padang tato patantyadho anadriti yushmarangare. Because they don't worship your lotus feet, therefore the consciousness is impure. Avishuddha buddhaya means not purified intelligence, and it's just like beating the empty husks. Brahma gives that analogy. Shreyak sutim bhaktim udasyate vibho krishantiye kevala bodha labdaye. He's speaking directly there about the impersonalists. The auspicious path that leads to Shreya, the ultimate good, going back to Godhead, they give that up. A sruti is a path. Shreyak sutim bhaktim, which is bhakti, he says. O Lord, Shreyak Bhakti Udasya, they give up. Shreyakshtim Bhakti Madasya Deva Klishyantiye Kevala Bodhalabdiye. And here against that, there's that word klesha again, in the form of a verb. Klishyanti, they suffer. Kevala Bodhalabdiye, for the attainment of the oneness. Kevala, kevala is kind of a word for the impersonal. Te samaso klesha deva shishyate, the only remnant, the only result is the trouble itself that they undergo. And it's just like beating the empty husks of the grain. It looks like, see, why this analogy is very wise to think about it. It looks like it has some benefit in it. Those empty husks probably almost look like the full husks, right? Because it's just the little grains that come out. So I don't know, I've never beat any, get any rice. But assume like it's that way. It looks like a fruitful path, but there's nothing there in the end. You see, literally nothing. It's just like the void, So the only result is the trouble you get. This is the verdict of Brahma himself in his prayers. And then you have the verse by Rishabdev, which isn't usually quoted, but which I love to quote, because this is Krishna himself in the form of Rishabdev. And he's saying, Evamana karma vashambhayunte abhidyaman ubadiyamane, that the soul mind is karmatmaka, filled with all kinds of food desires and latent fears and all these things. In other words, the ordinary mind. That's karma vashang, and being pushed, being impelled by material desires. That vasha means is like a vega, is like an urge. Avidyatman is covered by ignorance. Then one continues to roll around and get defeated again and again by birth and death. And then comes like the money quote, Pritir niyavan mai vasudeve namuchate dehi yogena tavat. You have yavat tavat. Pritir niyavan, as long as there is no love for me, Vasudev, there will be no freedom from the bondage of taking birth after birth in a material body. That's what he says. And that's also you find in the Upanishads, So that even the impersonalists have the motive of getting free from this material world, which is good, but they're averse to Krishna. They're still envious of Krishna, so they want to merge and be part of the absolute, And that's their fatal flaw. As long as they maintain that, they'll keep coming back down here, even if they do go to the Brahman. But the devotees who accept the reality of Krishna simply by accepting the authority of the Amnaya. Amnaya means the revealed Shastra, and the great acharyas who embody the principles of the Shastra and know it and teach it. That's Amnaya. We rely on it. We have the wonderful representation of it there right on the altar, our 5 main previous acharyas. So if you accept that authority, you save so much trouble. You don't rely on your own speculation. You don't deviate off into here and there. So that's the great advantage of reading Prabhupada's books and getting in touch with this movement. It gives you the proper direction, because it's such a hazardous time. It's so easy to get misdirected. Incredibly easy. That's part of what Kali Yuga is all about. There's this verse about Lord Chaitanya, Pramodhananda Saraswati is praying in this Chandramanda. It says, Kala Kalir, Balana Indriya Vairi Varga, Shri Bhakti Marga hiya Kantaka Koti Ruddha, Ha Ha Kviyami Vikalakrimahankaromi Chaitanya Chandriyadinadrikapankaroshi. This whole chapter is entitled, the author laments his pitiable condition. It's in the mood of dainya. If you read the Nectar of Devotion, there's 64 different elements of devotional service. One of them is Vigyapti. This is what we gave a seminar on in Chicago a few weeks ago. Vigyapti, which Prabhupada says is a submission. And everybody thought, including the first editor, he edited it in such a way, a submission, oh yeah, it means like I submit to you. But no, it means submitting a report. It's a submission of your own appeal, but it's that kind of submission. Anyway, there's 3 elements to it. One of which is, how does it go? Sampratanaatmaka, and the next one is Dainya Bodhika, and the third part is Lalashamayi. We have this example of Lalashamayi, especially in the songs. Dainya Bodhika. Dainya Bodhika means like a whole expression of how wretched and wasted I am, how unqualified to be a devotee. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, I've wasted my whole life in, getting this material education, which has just made me more and more ignorant and miserable. And now in the fag end of my life, I'm unqualified to worship you. And usually it ends with a prayer, I'm so wretched, please save me. Oh Lord, Hari Hari Vipale, Janma Gonainu. This is Prabhupada's favorite song, he said. Oh Hari Hari, I've wasted my whole life. Bifale means without fruit. Bifale, Janma Gonainu. I didn't develop love for Radha and Krishna, and goes on and on like that. So that's the Dainya Bodhika. And the Lala Shamayi is prayers for a specific service. Like the whole Vilap Kusumanjali, which is Raghunath Das Goswami's revealing of his ardent desire. Oh, he takes the role of a manjari, let me serve you this way, when will I wash your hair, or something like that. It's an advanced platform. But Prabhupada gave us the ultimate Lala Shamayi, Tulsi song. Let me become your maidservant. Let me float along in the love of Radha and Krishna. And then most of the prayers are in the Samprarthanatmaka, is the standard prayers. So in this chapter, the Prabodhana Saraswati is in this Dainya mood. He's saying how wretched I am. So this one brought it back to the idea of how dangerous this age is. This is Kala Kaliya Balana India. My dear Lord, like Lord Chaitanya he's praying to. It's Chaitanya Chandramrita. It is the age of Kali. And my enemies, my senses have become very strong. And Sri Bhakti Marga hi Kanta Koti Ruddha. The path of bhakti, the auspicious path of bhakti, is overgrown by all of these brambles and thorny bushes. It's very difficult to traverse. And what are those brambles and thorny bushes? False philosophies and misguiding bogus gurus and all these things. That's the problem. Is that even if you want some direction, you're innocent. If you get into the wrong thing, you go off and you can't get the truth. And even we've seen historically, Lord Chaitanya's movement can become distorted, and you get involved in the Prakrita Sahajiyas and the owls and the bowels, and there's a whole period of time when Lord Chaitanya's movement was obscured. Bhaktivinoda Thakur couldn't even get a CC. He was trying to find it for years. When he finally found it and read it, then it manifested his devotion. So it's a dangerous time. So this chapter, which is my favorite chapter of the book, is verse after verse like that. Well, another one says, ha, hanta, hanta. There's different words for alas in Sanskrit. So there's alas, alas, alas. Padamosha chitta bhuma. My heart is a supreme desert. And despite so many practices of sadhana, the creeper of bhakti doesn't grow there. What to do? So he says, I have to take shelter of the greatest seed of all. Chaitanya Chandra Chadanam Shadanam Karomi. The shelter, shadanam of the chadanam of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Then that will, So it's one prayer after another like that. So that's our great advantage, is that we're so disqualified. If we just come into the right association and we realize how helpless we are, we can easily start dancing and crying out to Krishna with some sincerity. Please save me. And that's the greatest platform. That evokes his mercy, and that's Lord Chaitanya's great gift. So that's why we're given so many chances, because we're so buried and distracted and everything. But we have to take advantage of what we've been given, and then the last can be first. Okay, it's 8:33. Any discussion on these points? Otherwise, we can adjourn. Hare Krishna. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.